I do acquisitions for a big team here in St. Louis, and I'm always asking the question, where are the best deals coming from? I'm a curious guy. It's a constant question that's never going to end. You know, in 20 years, Joe, me and you are going to be asking that same question to each other. Where are the best deals coming from? Mm-hmm. And I was telling somebody earlier, I said, you know, back in the early 2000s, we were spending a lot of money on Yellow Pages. Remember Yellow Pages?
Yeah.
And here we are today. We don't spend any money on Yellow Pages. To go from something so tried and true down to nothing proves that nothing's ever done, right? Even things that I love, like direct mail, right? I love direct mail. But in the end, there's still just spray and pray that you're hoping that person needs to sell. And right now, you're one of 37 people. There's got to be a better way, right? And so how did I start? I started this business backwards. I started off as a developer and a builder, and I worked my way back to wholesaling over 22 years, where everybody I talked to is the opposite. They said,
you've been wholesaling for how many years?
I built my first house when I was 20, and I'm 42, so 22 years.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, and I had cousins in the business, and he told me a story about a builder that thought he was going to make 400 grand, and he actually ended up making 800 grand. And my cousin said, "Wouldn't you hate that?" And I said, "Hate what?" And he goes, "Paying taxes on making 800,000." I go, "No, that's exactly the kind of problem I'm looking for." And so my bravado, I think I was a wholesaler, Joe, before I even knew what the term was. I thought it was such a niche that it wasn't big enough to make a living from. I thought, just like most people, that things are done through realtors, right? I was naive to how big it was. But what I find interesting is, even back in the early 2000s, I was knocking on doors of dilapidated homes to find the owner, and I'd knock on the neighbor's door, I'd knock on the person, you know, I fearless, right? I was always out breaking eggs, trying to find deals. And so I think I was a wholesaler even before I knew what the term was.
Man, I remember those days. I got started in real estate here in St. Louis, 2006. And so you were already doing deals back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard to find those guys. You're an old guy.
Sure. And I do feel like an old guy. At 42, I do feel like the old guy. I think like my
kidding.
people.
I was bad joke.
Guys are doing acquisitions and they're in their late 20s, right? Being 42, I do feel like the old guy now. I feel like some of the hard parts of that is adjusting my brain with how hot the market is currently. I still think everything's worth what it was worth 5 years ago, and things have been moving fast.
So, you know, that's interesting because you were wholesaling deals when the market was screaming hot in 2006 and 7, right?
Yep.
And what's different now than what was back then?
Logic is completely gone now. There's no more logic. I mean, we're in a pandemic, and the real estate's the best I've ever seen in 22 years. So I don't have the answer for that, Joe. We could make a lot of money if we figure that out. Why exactly that is. I'm looking forward to the end of the year. I'm excited to see what the next 6 months brings in this business.
Do you see a big change, a big shift in 2021?
My favorite answer to almost everything right now, Joe, in life is I don't know.
Horrible answer.
No, I'm sorry, but I don't know, right? Okay, let's talk about the town we live in, right? If you look at 2004 to 2014, right? The up, down, 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 where we live kind of just stayed like this. So depending on where you live, there might be no change. Or depending on where you live, you might lose your shirt, right? And so I would be real cautious of rehabs that'll take 6 to 9 months to complete. If that's my free advice of the day, just be careful with those. If you can do some.
Would you agree to be careful with the rehabs in the upper price ranges of things?
Well, and let's talk about that. The middle price ranges of things. If you're sub 300,000 in St. Louis, you're good to go. If you're 500 to 900, you're in trouble. That's the scary range. And then I think $1 million plus kind of stays insulated from a market just because they have more cash.